Hey, yeah, what's up? This disciple Marshall Occurrence reign back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day. So this video basically is going to be about why the White House is always under the White House. The American system is under construction. Why the American system is always under construction. Why the White House, the American system is always under construction. The reason why is because, first of all, no certain party has the White House, right? The Democrats come in for 4 to 8 years. They build up their politics. They build up whatever they want to do. Then the Republicans come in directly after building up 4 to 8 years of Democratic progress. They come in after that, tear down all their progress. Democrats come back in after the Republicans and do the exact same thing that they did the last time they was in the White House, which is tear down Republicans' progress. So see, that's why you don't have a fully developed American system. This is why you don't have it. Because the Democrats come in, they tear up all the Republicans' progress. The Republicans come in, they tear up all the Democratic progress. And this is why you don't have any developed, sophisticated system in America. Well, if it's so developed, how come y'all don't know about 44 states with child marriage? Boom. It's so undeveloped that it's trash everywhere. Make sense? It's so undeveloped and under the construction, like a construction site, that you got laws that you don't even know about. Now, see, if it was fully developed and sophisticated, you would know about everything. Your public would be your public would know about everything that's going on. Because you would have sophisticated additives or medias to articulate the laws and everything, and you would have people that would be able to penetrate the culture concerning the laws and everything that your law system embodies. You don't have because of the lack of sophistication. You Americans don't even know your own laws, and this all comes back in my opinion, to the democratic system being torn down within the system, and the Republican system being torn down within the system as well. See, what you should have done is had one party come in and run it for a more extended time. And then you have the opposite party that will come in and critique it with the party that has the system in their hands. So if the Democrats have the system for 20 years, 30 years, something like that, right? Because what can you really do in 4 to 8 years? That's less than a decade. What can a party do in 4 to 8 years anyway? I mean, that's life changing. So really what we have here is a tug of war of who wants to run the White House or the system of America, but really no progress. It's not long enough to be any progress. You have Democrats come in for 4 to 8 years. They come out, Republicans come in for 4 to 8 years, and it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If they had the White House for at least 10 to 20 years, then you would begin to see real progression. 4 to 8 years, and then the other party comes in and tears it down. That shows you, there is no true progression. Okay? So this explains why you don't have, a progressive, developed system. In 2023, you got all kind of technology, but your country doesn't even know they have child marriage. That is the smoking gun that your system is not developed. Like I said, if it was developed, it would create it would have speakers and people that would be able to communicate to the community about the laws. You have no one that really can communicate to the community about the laws. I think this lack of sophistication is because you don't have one party that takes the system and hold it long enough to produce progression in all forms and fashions. They're not able to produce those type of progressions. What I'm talking about, because they don't have it long enough. So you have the Democratic Party have it for like I said, 48 years. Then the Republican Party have it for 48 years. And so once like I said, once the other come in, they tear it down. They tear down all the progress of the opposite. When Trump came into office, he tore down all the progress of he tried to tear down progress of Obama. Obamacare being one of the main examples. He tried to come in and tear it down. See, whatever party is at fault concerning the election year and all of that, that party doesn't get in the White House. The more fault you have, the more likely that you're not going to get in the White House. Because what they do is, let's just say, for example, the Republicans are running the White House. The Democrats will promise to get rid of whatever laws the community hates. Whatever the laws the community hates, that's when the Democrats will come in and say, we'll fix this, we'll fix that, and this, that, and the third. Which confirms what I was talking about, which is tearing down the laws and trying to build up something else. So see, this is why I'm separated from my enemies. They can't tell you this kind of information, can they? Have they ever told you this type of information? Have these so-called secret societies and Illuminati ever talked to your community about this? Freemasons ever tell you about this? That's why I told you, stop comparing me to these bozos. Stop comparing me to these enemies. They caused a big curse to come on your country. You have a huge curse that's on your country that's not coming off, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Ain't nothing nobody can do about it. Your country is cursed. It's cursed. It's cursed. And it's a difference between vendettas and curses. And a curse that God put on your country. There's a big difference. When there's a curse that's not a vendetta, you're in trouble. Because it doesn't matter who lives or dies, the curse is going to go on. The curse is going to go on. You can hate me, it doesn't matter. The curse is going to go on. I just want you to see why I am preserved and they're not preserved, and they're dying every day. They're dying every day because there's no use for them. There's use for me. God sees use for me. What's the use for them? Running around like maniacs like the rest of the people do? See, I proved just now through the information that I just gave you. There's a use for me and there's no use for them. I am valuable, and where's their value? Or where's the value of what they talk about? There's no value, is it? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. There is no value. So that being said, man, don't compare me to those losers. You know, they're bitter because their country, because they know they cause problems in their country. Don't compare me to them. Listen to the words that's coming out of their mouth. Have they ever told you anything worthwhile? They ain't never told you nothing, have they? That's what I'm saying. So they're not in league with me. When I can sit up and show you why your politics, less than 10 minutes, I can show you why your politics are the way they are. Your politics are the way they are is because there's no one that allows, there's no party that controls the system of America and keep it and develop a system for everyone to live by here. That's why you have it. That's why you have an undeveloped system, just like an undeveloped house. You ever seen an undeveloped house where it's under construction? You got the wheelbarrow, you got all the wood, you got all the stuff that consists of a construction site, right? And some of those some of those sites go through summer, winter, fall, and it's the same. The pile of sand is there, the pile of bricks is there, and it's never actually developed. It's no different than the American system. Don't let it fool you. It's undeveloped. It's undeveloped. Okay? It's not developed. That's why you don't have solutions to your problems. That's why there's no progression concerning your problems. That's why there's no solutions concerning your problems, because your system is not developed and you didn't know it. The reason why you didn't know it, because really they just use a series of Jedi mind tricks to fool you, to make you feel like, you know, it's working. The system is working. Don't let them fool you. Every time the next people that's going to be in the White House are probably going to be Republicans. Democrats don't have anybody. Who do they have? They don't have anyone. All they can do is try to show up with someone that might surprise you or that may entice you or intrigue you. But other than that, by now you would have seen, they don't really have nobody. You would have seen somebody by now that has some type of politics worthwhile. You don't see that, do you? That's what I'm saying. So that being said, just take it for what it is, man. You're going to have an undeveloped system probably to the end of time. I'm just showing you my value. So some of these videos I do, I'm not saying that it would happen. Like, I'm not saying that anyone will actually be able to stop the undevelopment of your system. I'm showing you my value, how I have solutions. This is my value. I'm showing you my value, my level of intellect versus your community's level of intellect. My value versus their value. And this explains why your country is going no further. They're not going any further. They may think they are, but they're not. Because your system would never stop the cycle, first of all. It would never stop the cycle of being undeveloped, Democrats coming in, tearing down Republicans' progress. Republicans coming in, tearing down Democratic progress. Democrats coming in, tearing down Republicans' progress. That's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. And that's why it's never developed. And like I said, my solution is that they actually have one party run the system. The other party comes in and critique the system with the party that's running the system. And this way, you'll come to some type of medium that will be beneficial for both parties. But having one come in and tear down the progress, and having the other one come in and tear down the progress of the other, having this back and forth tearing down the progress will never, ever actually develop your community and your culture. It would never do it. And so that explains why you have the situations you have. That explains why you have an undeveloped system and it seems like it's going nowhere. It seems like it's no more sophisticated than it was in the last 10, 20 years, because they're tearing down all things that they build. That's why when it comes to race, racial progress, if you will, race and all the progress that comes with it, you don't see it, because the Democrats will come in and build something, and the Republicans will not pay attention to those politics. So you get why you have the problem? That's why you have the problem. You know, so you got to understand that. If you don't understand that, you will sit back and think, oh well, why is it getting? You have a vague, but you have a vague approach to why your country is getting no better, and you won't know. That's why I can explain why I don't deal with your community. I can explain why I don't deal with the likes of Americans, because it's all confusion and foolishness. Even your politics. The reason why your politics are the way they are is because you have not truly progressed. And you know what the definition of retardation is? The definition of retardation is something that does not progress. If something doesn't progress in some form or fashion, it's considered retardation. So some would say that the White House has a form of retardation because there's no real progression. Where's the real progression? A couple policies here and there. Where's the real progression? Where's the real progression? Where's the real progression? You don't see it, do you? That's what I'm saying. You can't tell me how you have progressed in the past 10 years, can you? You can't tell me nothing that you've done really that have progressed your community in the past 10 years, can you? That's what I'm trying to show you. There is no progression. And the reason why there is no progression is because there's a tearing down process that happens with every coming administration. Every administration that comes, it tears down the progress of the past, the previous administration. The previous administration tears down the progress. That's what happens. That's what happens. So that's why you have the problem that you have now. That's why you have the problems that you have now. Because everyone comes in and they want to act like there's some type of progression. And it's not any kind of progression. There is no progression. They act like they have plans of progression. There is nothing happens. Because there's a tearing down and they can't build up a whole system in 8 years. How they gonna build up a whole system in 8 years? How they gonna change your country in 8 years? Even if any president gets 2 terms, that's 8 years. How you gonna change a whole country? Him or her? How they gonna change a whole country in 8 years? 8 years, they're gonna change everything. You don't even believe that, but you never thought about it in that context, have you? How they gonna change something in 8 years? I gotta do a video on that. They can't do it. What they have to do is set up a road or a path for the next community or the next president to come in and build on what they have already built. If you don't have anyone building on what a president or administration has done in the past 8 years, then what you have is nothing. Because if the next administration doesn't come in and build on what has been built on in the past 8 years, let's just say an administration gets two terms, right? If the next administration doesn't come in and build on that, the past 8 years meant nothing. The past 8 years meant nothing. And then they come in and they build for 8 years. And guess what happens after that? If the next administration doesn't come in and build on what they built on in the past 8 years, the past 8 years, as far as your American system, meant nothing. For the most part. If they tear down key policies, key laws, key progressions that obviously more times than not, the other party opposed, if they tear down all that progress, there was no progress in the past 8 years. And it goes on and on. And you count up all those years that they went back and forth, tearing down each other's progress. You count up all those years. And that's why there has been no progression. Because you can't change America in 8 years, right? So it has to be the 8 years that an administration, which is the 2 terms, any administration that has 2 terms have to come in and set a road, a path to go down, right? They have to already have in mind, hear this part, they have to already have in mind the next administration. But see, they don't even think that far. They can't, because the next administration probably is going to be Republicans. Or if the Republicans got it, it's going to be Democrats. So they can't think in the sense of long term. They can only think about what they're going to do in the time that they're in it. That's the 7th hour. They can only think about their administration for the past 2 terms. That's all they can think about. They can't think about the years after the 8 years, because it's probably going to be the opposite party. That's the 7th hour. So that's why you have the situations you have. You have the Democrats get it for 8 years. And then the Republicans come in and they start a whole new path. They just totally leave that road alone, right? They have a whole new path. Right? And then, so that means the last 8 years was in vain. And so all you getting basically is fast food politics. That's all you get. You're getting fast food politics. That's what you're getting. You're getting fast food politics. What they can do in the next 4 to 8 years, that's all it is. McDonald's politics. Happy Meal politics. Ronald McDonald Trump politics. I told you I'm a master, man. I don't play no games. You got Ronald McDonald politics. And that explains why you have nothing going on. That's why you have nothing. I ain't asking you to believe in me. I'm not your hope. These people are going to be destroyed. I'm showing you why you have nothing. I'm showing you why I am valuable. I'm showing you why God is with me. I'm showing you why there's judgment coming on your whole country and they're cursed for what they've done to me. I'm showing you why. I'm showing you why it's happening. I'm showing you why all of this is taking place right now. Because you've never been what you thought you was. Let's be honest. No one ever told you this like I told you, right? No one ever told you. You ever heard anybody say the Republicans come in and they tear it down like an unconstructed house? They tear down the progress of the Democrats. The Democrats come in and tear down the progress of the Republicans. You never had nobody tell you quite like that, have you? You never heard it quite like that, have you? That's what I'm trying to show you. I am valuable. My enemies are not valuable. That's why they're dying in the millions. Okay, yeah, you thought you was something till you realize we're in an age now that you have to have substance to survive. Well, if you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna survive. How much you want to put on that? We're in a season now, if you don't have God with the evil that's around the world, if you don't have God in your heart and soul and you don't have anything, I'm not talking about being perfect. Ain't nobody perfect. So if you try to hold me to a perfect standard, you're going to lose. You ain't perfect. But I'm righteous. You stand for evil. I stand for righteousness. So it's not a matter of perfection. It's a matter of what you stand for. And it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfection in that. So you can't fool me and get me on this little game of perfection. I know I'm not perfect. But you're still going to lose. You're still going to be cursed. you're still going to lose. It ain't nothing. That little foolish game, you're going to be humiliated by it, because no matter what I do, God has decided to make you lose. Boom. Stop the foolishness. God has decided to make you lose. You are cursed. Don't you see it? Ain't no way around it. You can't say God bless America. You got 50 states with gay marriage. God doesn't believe in God ain't with no country with gay marriage. He will save gay people, but we're talking about, let's don't play Jedi mind tricks. We're talking about laws, which we know we serve a God of laws. So if you make laws and you have commandments and you command yourselves outside of his word, outside of his wishes, how can you expect him to be with you? That's the seventh hour. He ain't gonna be with you. You have done things outside of his wishes. You have made commandments outside of the commands that he gave you. So how you expect him to be with you? Through mercy? He gives mercy as an investment. Investments in those who serve his kingdom. That's a seventh hour. Why would he invest mercy into your community when it has full gay marriage? That investment would not come back. Ooh, that's good. God invests his mercy. It's an investment. Boy, that's good. You ain't never heard and I ain't being proud when I say this, but you ain't never heard your preacher tell you this, did he? Mercy is an investment. He invests mercy in those he know has the heart to serve him. You got the heart to serve homosexuals and lesbians. Listen, that's what your system got the heart to serve. Homosexuals and lesbians. God will not invest mercy in you. Boy, I got to do a message on that. Ooh, we doggy. I got to do a message on that. God does not invest mercy in where he can't get in return. Why would he invest mercy on you and he can't get no return from it? Make it make sense. Would you invest mercy in somebody you can't get no return on? You can't get nothing out of it? Think about it. It completely opposes you. So why would you invest in that? Why would you invest in somebody who's your enemy? Why would you invest in somebody who's your enemy that you can't get a return on it? You stupid if you do that. God does not invest in a kingdom that does not support his kingdom. God does not invest in a kingdom with mercy, and you do not serve his kingdom. You do not have nobody who represents his kingdom that has reflected them representing his kingdom through your laws and system. Your laws and system shows there's nobody in your kingdom that represents God's kingdom. You could say God bless you all day. Your system doesn't say God bless you. Your system doesn't say is not godly. So why would God invest mercy on you and let you live? Yeah, you've been very cliche when it comes to God. Now you got to be 100. You've been cliche all this way. Now you got to be 100. Yeah, you got to be 100 now, don't you? Because listen, all them cliches ain't holding up, is it? It ain't holding up, is it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now you looking for a way out. You can't find one, can you? You ain't going to find one. Because God is a God of laws. And if you have laws, it ain't my opinion. It ain't your opinion. It ain't a matter of me and your opinion. It's God's word, which we cannot reduce down to the feelings of mere men. You are merely men and humans who I personally know for a fact is under God and completely incomparable to God. So therefore, I don't even consider you. When it comes to these laws that God said, when it comes to God's word, I don't even consider you. You're foolishness, right? That's what God said. He's against it. He's against homosexuality and lesbianism. Case closed. So why would he invest
mercy in you. Why would he invest in you? Ask yourself, why would God's kingdom invest in you mercy to let you live? Tell me, just give me good reasons. You're killing your kids? You can't say that. You can't judge nobody else's feelings towards children because look at your feelings. That's a 7 hour. Look at how people's own. How can you judge somebody else's feelings towards children, whether they be right or wrong? Either way it go, you are no judge when it comes to children at all, for the good or the bad, buddy. You're killing your own children, buddy. How you gonna judge somebody else when you're killing your own children? Man, won't you have a seat right now, man? For real, won't you have a seat? Okay? Because what you fail to realize is God is no longer with you. That's why I'm going to keep saying it, because Christians think I'm playing. Christians think that God's mercy continues with the people that got 50 states with all gay marriage in all the whole country. They think that you got these Americanized Christians who think it's still all good. Oh, it's still all good. And you know you serve a God of law and order? That's not law and order with 50 states with gay marriage. That's a 7 hour. That's not law and order. Gay marriage in 50 states is not law and order, buddy. And listen, it's not my opinion. I'm going by the word of God. Take it up with God. You got a problem? Take it up with God. You ain't going to do that, are you? Because you're too much of a coward. You want to try to face his people. Won't you talk to him? Won't you show your hate for God? Yeah. Won't you show your hate for God? You know you won't last long, don't you? Yeah, you ain't going to do that. You want to try to fight me. Won't you try to show your hate for God? I didn't make the Bible, did I? Yeah. It'd be different if I was the author of the Bible. Am I the author of the Bible? Okay, then won't you take your smoke with God then? Huh? You ain't going to do that, are you? That's what I'm saying. You just like the rest of the Americans. You choose convenient enemies. You choose convenient enemies who you want to attack. Won't you attack God? Huh? You ain't going to do it, are you? Yeah, because you like to pick on people. You can't pick on me, can't you? You see you can't do that. Oh, I thought you thought I was Charlie Brown, didn't you? Well, why your country looks like it's in shambles? Explain why I look like I'm the aggressor and I ain't even doing nothing to you. Explain why I have no tangible operations that the government or the FBI can find or CIA can find. They have no tangible operations on me. You got full tangible operations every time I step out this door, but it looks like I'm the aggressor. That's a 7 hour. Because that's the power of the kingdom of God, you big dummy. I ain't doing nothing to them. And they dying. Because listen, man, I told you, prophets are worse than witches and warlocks. We're worse than witches and warlocks, man. You know what a prophet can do to you? A prophet is worse. Go look in the Bible. You scared of the Bible? Are you scared of the Bible? Then go look in the Bible and you can see clearly how dangerous playing with a prophet really is. And you know how I know I'm a prophet? Because I've said something and it came true. That's how I know. I serve God. I have served God. I've been a Christian over 23 years. Okay? 24 years. Right? Older than half of these little punks out here. I've been a Christian older than these little punks out here who think they in my lane. Man, I was serving God when you was in Pampers, buddy. You a street punk to me. Okay? I've been serving God that long, man. You don't want to play with this. And that's why you suffering the way you are suffering. And listen, I know my Lord. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about my life. Don't you worry about it. Just hear these words that come out of my mouth. I've been a Christian over 23 years. That's all you need to know. That's enough time to grow to a full-blown general. And that means this smoke that you think gonna go away, you think it's gonna go away, it's just getting started, buddy. This is just getting started. God is taking you through the romance of warfare. This is this is the romance of war. He's whining and dining you, showing you how you can't beat me, showing you how I just continue to pop up and resurrect through his power, showing you how no matter what you do to me, see, I go along with it because I understand the romance of war. See, many servants of God, they give up and they go kill somebody or something like that. See, the reason why I don't do that is because I understand the romance of this situation. See, the romance is in warfare is we gonna show you we can slow this down and we just can do this, right? And that's why, see, that helps you understand why you think that helps you understand why it answers your question why God hasn't done it yet. Boom. That's the 7th hour. You know why he ain't done it yet? You know why he ain't killed all y'all yet? Because we going through the romance of warfare. He's showing you, okay, let me show you what my servant is made of. Before this is all over, I could just kill all of y'all, but that's just too good. That's just too sweet. Let me show you what the servant that you think you're playing with. Let me show you what he made of. Now he done revealed to your country, y'all got 44 states with child marriage. That's the 7th hour. Not only did he beat you with spiritual power for all these little spiritual space cadets around here, he beat you with information. You ain't nothing no more. Don't you see that? You got 44 states with child marriage. The Lord let me stand and show you what I'm made of. I don't care what you think about all that little internal stuff that you think you're picking up on. Yeah, I got you. I beat you right there. That's the 7th hour. Let's look at the outward stuff. Let's look at the external. The fact that I revealed that you have 44 states with child marriage. Your last child marriage law was passed 3 years ago. Your last child marriage law was passed 3 years ago. You don't think you good as smoke yet? You don't think I smoked you yet? Boy, you smoke, man. You don't see that? That's real. You understand me? That's real. And you good as dead. Sit around here running around trying to save face. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing, trying to save face. That's all you doing. You ain't gonna never win. How you gonna win when you got 44 states with child marriage? Make it make sense, bro. We play by real rules and laws and regulations and honor codes. You don't have to play by the rules. This is all about honor and integrity and who you really are. See how unique this war is? It's deeper than you playing. I don't care if you play dirty. You can play dirty all you want. When you get done playing dirty, you got 44 states with child marriage. You're pedophiles. Now beat that. How you gonna beat the fact that you're a pedophile? You can play dirty all you want. You playing dirty as a pedophile. I say it like Yoda, you said, you play dirty as a pedophile. Pedophile you play dirty with. Pedophile you play dirty as. That's the difference. That's the difference, buddy. You can play dirty all you want. You're playing dirty as pedophiles. I win. I got your identity. It's one thing to go out and fight dirty. It's one thing to fight with a whole new identity, buddy. Boom. How you gonna win past that? You can play dirties all you want. Long as you pedophiles, married children, you lose. And that's what I'm trying to show you. You already lost. Because when you get done with doing what you do, you're going to realize who you really are. And it's going to be all over. You're going to have suicide all through America. Because what other reality do you have? And see, the truth of the matter is if you had been aware of your child marriage laws, if you had been aware of this, through the sophistication of your situation, you wouldn't be in this particular situation. You wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be here today. The reason why you're here today is because of a lack of sophistication in your government and your connection with the community and the government. You know how I know that? Because how come the community don't know about your laws? How come the community don't know about your laws? How come the community don't know nothing about this? Because there is no real relationship that you have with your community. Boom. Well, how come they don't know what you're doing then? Well, I know what people are doing that's in relationships with me. How come they don't know? How come police don't know about it? Man, you can't be serious, man. Because it's a lack of sophistication in your community. And it's because the Democrats run it for a while, the Republicans run it for a while. You needed someone to take it and hold it and build it. They never did that. And you can't do that. You can't build a whole country in 8 years. Your country has no system. Okay, explain to me the system you got then. Who does your system work for? Come on. Who's your system work for? So you have a system, right, that works for no one practically. So explain to me how you esteem it as a system. Explain to me how you esteem it as a system when it doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work for anybody, but how's it esteemed as a system? So how are you ever going to build a system and you only have 8 years to do it? President Obama only had 8 years. So how could he build, if he wanted to change how black people were treated in this country, how could he do that in 8 years? Now, if he had the White House, let's just say President Obama had the White House for 10 to 20 years, could you imagine what he would have changed? He would have changed so much, but he couldn't do it in 8 years, now could he? And he couldn't do it with Donald Trump coming right behind him, tearing down his progress. He tore down Obamacare. He wanted to. He tried. I heard it. He was talking negative about it. I'm pretty sure he did something about it. I'm pretty sure he did something negative towards it. And I'm pretty sure he affected a lot of things that Barack Obama did. How could, on top of him, Obama being in office for only 8 years, how could anything stand when somebody like Donald Trump comes right behind him and the Republicans are always coming behind the Democrats, tearing down their progress? This explains, folks, why we don't have a system that works. Because the Democrats come in, like I said, they tear it down. They tear down the progress of the Republicans. The Republicans come in, they tear down the progress of the Democrats. Therefore, you have no system as a result. And it has been like this for decades. And no one told you like this. Admit it. No one told you like this, did they? No one really told you in plain English. If you notice in politics, although this is the main language we speak, English, they never speak plain English, do they? Teachers don't insult your intelligence. They break it down to where you can understand it. That's why I talk the way I do, because I'm a teacher. I could talk fast and I could articulate myself fast and I could talk using big words in every single sentence and all this. That's what they do. That's what these politicians do. And that's why you walk away saying, what did I just waste my life watching? What did I just waste 10 minutes or 15 minutes or however long you watch? What did I just watch? That's what you walk away saying. You leave away with nothing, do you? Don't you? Because they talk circles around you, doing Jedi mind tricks. You know what I mean? And they don't talk in plain English. If they had talked in plain English long ago and realized that, I'm pretty sure they realized this, How can anything be built in 8 years? That's how long a president can have. Any president can have the White House White House. That's how long a president can remain in power in America. Now listen to that. That's how long a president can remain in power in the White House. 8 years, right? So how can they get anything done in 8 years? What are they supposed to get done in 8 years? That's what I'm trying to show you. Nothing gets done. And then whatever does get done, hear this part, what I told you. Whatever does get done is torn down by the opposing parties. So virtually nothing, technically nothing is being progressed and done. Now you see what I'm saying. Can you explain it any other way? How all the field that we had when Obama was in office, all that love that black people had for each other, all the black love, all the stuff that took place, it's gone now. All that field. You remember when everybody was wearing those Obama hats and Obama shirts and all of that? You remember the field that was in the air? I know you remember. If you was paying attention, it felt different, didn't it? It felt good, didn't it? All of that's gone. Because it's another testament of what I'm telling you. They come in and tear down all the progress. They tore down all that black love that Obama brought into the community. Right or wrong. All of it's gone. And hear this part. Donald Trump came in literally and tore down black love, which confirms what I'm saying to you. Each party did come in and tear everything down, even to black love. That's a 7th hour. Donald Trump tore down everything, even black love. Donald Trump tore down everything, even good racial relations between black and white people. Oh boy, that's good. Because there were some people, some white people, that seen Barack Obama and seen that a black man could articulate himself properly. A black man don't have to be a gangster or a thug. A black man can be sophisticated, educated, and without an ounce of bad in him. That's, see, a lot of y'all are not conscious that some white people, just like black people in the ghetto, how they don't see white people, it's some white people that don't see black people ever. I know you didn't know that, did you? You didn't think about it, did you? There's some black people that don't see white people. They live in real ghettos. They live in real ghettos where there's no white people. They only see black people. The kids don't see white people at all. Not at the store, not anywhere. You don't know about that. Now that's ghetto. That's ghetto when you don't see nobody white. That's ghetto. Also, there are some white people that don't see any black people. And so Obama was the first, for those white people, was the first great example of a man of African descent that articulated himself properly, that showed that you didn't have to be the stereotypes, right? And that changed a lot of these white people that you don't never see. You still ain't seen them yet. See, I'm going to keep doing messages about this too. How Barack Obama changed racial relations in America. Because some white people didn't see any good examples because all they seen was the stuff on TV. They literally didn't see black people at all. They didn't, right? Okay? So, that being said, he was the only example of a wholesome African that they had ever seen, right? And there was people that hated that. It was people that hated that, right? How come the next president came in and tore down all of that? Now, you can believe I'm fake, you can believe I'm real, you can believe whatever you want. I just spoke facts. Donald Trump came in and tore down all the progress of Barack Obama. He came in and tore it down to where everybody's back at each other's necks again. Because Donald Trump had a way of saying certain key things and terms that made people feel that he was racist. So everybody started forgetting about all the black love and good racial relations that happened between black and white people, being that Barack Obama was in office. Everybody forgot about all of that. Think about it. Think about it. In a matter of 4 years, he took all of that away from y'all. You didn't think about that, did you? He took all that love that was in the air. All those feelings white people had submitting to an African president or submitting to a president of African descent. All those feelings gone. Of submitting, of white America submitting to a president of African descent. All those feelings gone, huh? It's a perfect example of what I'm trying to show you. The Democrats will come in and tear down the progress of Republicans, and the Republicans will come in and tear down the progress of Democrats, even if it's racial relations. Some would say that was an intentional attack of the Republicans tearing down that progress too. See what I'm saying? They come down and tear down all progress. Some would say they even intentionally tore down their racial progress. They don't care. But safe to say, technically speaking, the Republicans tore down the progress of Barack Obama. All that progress that he made, who was responsible for tearing it down? That now it don't even seem like he was in there. Do it seem like he was in there? It's like you almost forgot about it, didn't you? It's like it never happened almost, right? Like it never happened. That's what they good for doing. They good for tearing down progress. They good for making it, making all of it, all the progress of the past administration, previous administration go away. And the Barack Obama administration is the perfect example of how a Democrat will come in and a Republican will come right behind them and tear down all the progress. And that's why you have an undeveloped system, because they continue to do this with whoever's in office. The Democrats come in, Republicans come in right behind them, tear down the progress. The Republicans get in the White House, the Democrats come in, tear down that progress. So it looks like a house under construction. It never is built. You got all the tools, just like you have at a construction site, where a house is being built. Let's just say from the ground up. You got all the tools, you got all the stuff, you got the sand, you got the bricks, you got everything, right? You got everything that you need at the site of the house. But nothing ever is built. Because soon as something is built, let's just say the house represents the White House. Soon as it's built, right? Or the system, the American system. Soon as it's built, the Republicans, if it's the Democrats that did the building, Republicans come in. They tear down all the progress. The house still look like it's not being built. You go back and look, oh man, I thought they was building on that house 4 years ago. Man, it still looks the same. Because they tore down the progress. The Republicans do the same. The Democrats, they do the same thing. Some will say they need to do it. But whatever the case may be, each party comes in the White House and the opposite party tears it all down. And that's why you don't have any progression in your community. That's why, as far as your system, and therefore that's why you don't have any progression as far as your needs, real needs and wants and desires that you have as a community. It's all being torn down. And see, I'm going to sophisticate this message. I'm going to progress this message because, like I said in the past, I personally believe the ghetto all across America should have been gone. It should have been gone. It's still here because of the lack of progression of the American system. Well, explain to me why Mexicans come here from Mexico and they go straight to a good neighborhood, middle class neighborhood. Well, I don't see any Mexicans. All the Mexicans coming from out of Mexico, they're not going to a ghetto. That's a 7 hour. Where are all these Mexicans going to then? Make it make sense. Explain it to me. Explain to me where all these Mexicans are going to. That come straight from Mexico, ain't got nothing but lint in their pocket. Not even $1. They got pesos. They ain't even got an American dollar in their pocket. How they don't go to no ghetto then? And check this part. How come the American government with all these Mexicans coming here, how come they ain't made Mexican ghettos because of that? Boom. They ain't made no Mexican ghettos. All these Mexicans coming here. You would think by now somebody would say, well, all these Mexicans coming here with no money. We got to build some kind of Mexican low poverty ghettos. They ain't done it, have they? You can count on both hands how many major Mexican ghettos there are in America, can't you? I'm talking about big ones. I'm talking about big Mexican ghettos. You don't see them, do you? You don't see them, do you? That's what I'm talking about. So where they going? I'm glad you asked. You know where they going? They're going to neighborhoods that the American government and system funded for them to go to. They got programs for them that you don't know about, that you ain't educated on, and that they ain't gonna tell you about. You know why the Mexicans ain't gonna tell you about it? Because they gonna feel like you feel as black people. Why we ain't got that? That's why they don't talk to you. That's a 7 hour. Oh, that's why they don't talk to you. You know why? Because they got programs. Can you explain to me why they ain't got no ghettos and they go to middle class neighborhoods? Look at the neighborhoods they live in. Does it look like it's a gangster neighborhood? It don't do it because they're going, listen, I'm talking about the whole country where all Mexicans is in every great metropolis. You don't see no Mexican ghettos in every great metropolis. All you can talk about is California. I'm talking about the whole country. Yeah, all you gonna say is bring up is California. We ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the whole country where all these Mexicans come into around all the different cities and ain't no ghettos for them. Where they going to? They're going to middle class neighborhoods that's been funded by the government. So guess what that means? Guess what that means? I'm glad you asked what it means. It means that they are out the ghetto. It means the Mexicans are out the ghetto. That's why they don't talk to you, because if they talk to you long enough, you're going to start asking about them programs. Now you got it, don't you? If you talk to them long enough and look them in their face long enough, you're going to start asking them about them programs. How they come here and ain't got no money and they do all of this? Oh, hard work does that. Hard work does that. You must be out your mind. And can't no hard work make no whole neighborhood. It can't do it. And you still in the ghetto. You know why? You're still in the ghetto because the Republicans get in the White House for 8 years, 4 years. Democrats come in and tear it down. Democrats, who's your best bet to get out the ghetto, they come in and the Republicans tear down their progress. So you never get a plan for that can be built, right? As long as it takes to be built. So it's not enough time to build a program to get black people out the ghetto because of the back and forth of the Democrats and the Republicans in the White House. As long as if the Democrats ran the White House, you would have been out the ghetto. The Mexicans out the ghetto. So why ain't no ghettos in every neighborhood, in every city then? They out the ghetto. For the most part. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for the most part. Chinese people ain't in the ghetto. Like I told you before, if anybody had a Chinatown, it was black people should have had a Chinatown before anybody else did. Black people should have had a Chinatown. Hey, your ancestors were slaves. How would you not be first in line for a Chinatown? No disrespect to the Asians. But how you not first? He probably thinking the same thing. How do Africans not have a town or a place where they're set apart from everybody, like Chinese are? Chinese are set apart. They're not in everybody else's neighborhood. They may work in your neighborhood, but they go home to a Chinatown. So why you ain't got one? Because of the lack of sophistication of your American system that never truly progressed to help the African Americans come out of a poverty environment. They never got you there. And one of the main reasons is not just racism. One of the main reasons is the system was not able to progress. It was not able to progress because of the back and forth of the Democrats and the Republicans. It was not able to progress because of that. It wasn't all because of racism. Because what they're going to tell you is, well, it was just because the white people were holding us back. That's why we ain't get out the ghetto. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. The real reason, the main reason why you never got out the ghetto is because the system wasn't built in one direction strong enough for that progression. And that progression could only come from the Democrats in modern day time. In modern day time, the Democrats are the only ones who would make such a plan. The Republicans are not going to do it. It's not in them to do it. And some would say the parties represents colors, white people and black people. You can act like that's not the case, but all day and every day, Republicans are not really for black cause. Republicans are not, they do not care about black needs. Democrats do. Now, back in the day, the Republicans are the one that set the slaves free. But that's irrelevant now. That's irrelevant now. That's irrelevant now, right? Okay? We ain't talking about that. We talk about now. Now, in these days, the Republicans do not help the black community as they once did. If you're going to get any help, everybody know you going to the Democrats. That's who they go. That's who they going to. That's who you going to. And so, if the Democrats come in and the Republicans are always tearing down their progress, how can they even begin to get you out the ghetto? The only way they could have got you out the ghetto or even got around to it is if they had the White House longer than 10 to 20 years or so, and then they would be able to build programs to pull you out. And this explains why you're in the ghetto and everybody else is not. Who else is in the ghetto with you? Mexicans ain't there. The Asians ain't there. The Jamaicans ain't even there. The Jamaicans are not really in the ghetto here. Not really. Not really. The Haitians are not in the ghettos. Look at it for what it is. Nah, be 100. Look at it for what it is. You see a whole bunch of Haitians in the ghetto? Man, listen, don't talk to Florida. I ain't talking about Florida. I'm talking about the whole country. Now see the white man say, well, the Jamaicans will work. The Jamaicans will get up and work. And that may be true. But you got to look at the psychological damage that you did to the African Americans where they don't even want to work. Oh, you don't want to look at the psychological part, do you? Oh, you just say they weak. How about you might have destroyed their brains? How about that part? That's a 7th hour. How about the fact you may have made them give up their will to survive and live? Why you talking about they weak? Well, you did a lot. You did a lot to the black community and then sit around talking about how lazy they are. Jamaicans came here happy, ready to win, you're ready to party. Yeah, how low can you go? I ain't being funny, I'm just being real. Yeah, you from out of town, you from out of the country. You should be on your A game. You should be here working, and your culture should teach you to come here and work, which explains it all. You're taught by your culture to do so. You know what we talk about our culture? The white man is oppressing us, beating us down, shooting us down. Jamaicans are not taught that coming here. They're not taught that. And they don't become subject to the traps that we become subject to. So it's not even fair to compare them to us. It's not even fair because they don't come and get in our lane and get in our way of thinking and be oppressed like us. See, the white man know the difference. See, more than you, the white man know the difference between an African American and a Jamaican. He'll say, yeah, that's a Jamaican. That white man will say, yeah, that's a Jamaican. He'll work hard. See, you got to understand something. They don't care as long as you working. Hey, they'll work side by side with you. They don't mean they racist. They ain't racist. They've been doing that from the beginning. They've been doing that from the very beginning. They've been sitting up working, making you work as a slave, and they a slave master sitting there right there with you. And see, we done got so stupid. We think, oh, just because the white man give us opportunities, oh, he love us. He been giving you opportunities to work for him. He's been doing that. He never ceased to do that. He just started paying you for it now. That's the only difference. He's been working you. And that's all he wants. That's why, see, he's already ready for you to rebel. That's why he brought the Mexicans in. Because as soon as you rebel, he'll use all the Mexicans to take your place. Ooh. He'll use the Mexicans to take your place. He ready for you. And you think you're necessary. Black people around here arrogant, thinking they necessary. And he ready for you to rebel so he can just take all these Mexicans and use them like he used you. One black man told me this. The Mexicans, and don't take this the wrong way, because he's black himself, so I mean, obviously, it's not coming from a malicious place. But he said, the Mexicans are the new niggas. I didn't have to ask him what that meant. I knew exactly what that meant. And he went on to tell me, he said, you see this job me and you doing? That black man made sure he spoke to me because I was a young man at the time. I was about 24, 25, something like that. Between 24 and 25, he said if a white man was doing this job that me and you was doing, he said that white man would kill himself if he was doing our job. And I was just a young 20-something-year-old man listening to this man tell me this. But he was right. The Mexicans are used, and listen, before you think, they are used as how we were used when we worked for white people. Now we know our worth, and some people don't work because we know our worth. I'm not saying do it, but a lot of white people, a lot of black people, some jobs are beneath them, right? So he's already ready for you if you rebel. If you don't want to work for him anymore, he already got the Mexicans in place to do everything that you want and you think you're so necessary. And you don't even realize he already got a whole system waiting for you to get out of pocket and rebel. That's what I'm saying. And so, that's what you have going on. You have all of this going on. I think a lot of the Mexicans know what's going on, really. They know they're taking our place. And listen, oh yeah, that's what I want to say. I'm not one of those player haters that sit up and say, the Mexicans are taking the jobs. I remember when people started saying that. And I'm like, ain't nobody can take what's for me. I'm a Christian. What's for me is for me. You can't take my blessings. You can't take what God got for me. Hey, I don't care where you come from. What God got for me is for me. And if I work hard enough, how can somebody take what's mine? I've never been that type of person. If you get out and work for yours, I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is the Jedi mind tricks that the white man is using, and he's helping other ethnicities, but still leaving us at the back of the line. That's what I'm talking about. That's all I'm talking about. You got basically you got a Chinatown, and you even got a Mexican town. Where you go to every great metropolis, you got a neighborhood that represents Mexican community. It's flourishing. It's not in poverty. You don't see nothing run down. It's in every great metropolis, a Mexican type of community. But black communities represent poverty. That's all I'm talking about. If you work for yours, hey, what kind of man would I be to hate on you and it ain't your fault? You know what I'm saying? You just getting out there working for yours, and it ain't your fault. That ain't your fault. That ain't what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. You got some people that feel like that. You can't take what I want. You can't take from me because, listen, I mean, it's kind of common sense. How many people can take from one man? All I need is one position. I don't need 10 positions. I can eventually find me one position. So how can you really take from me? And when I have that mentality, I never had that perspective where I feel like, oh, well, the Mexicans are taking a job from me. They ain't taking no job from me. So I don't want you to get me mixed up with people that be talking like that. I'm saying there's the American government totally allowed the Mexican community to never really have a ghetto experience. They didn't have a ghetto experience, and how can you tell me they shouldn't have had it when they had a whole Mexican community coming here with nothing? They had nothing. So where all those people go? Oh, they all have family? Some of them left their family behind. How they have family? Make it make sense. How did they have family when they left their family here? I mean, in Mexico. They left their family in Mexico. So how they have family? Huh? And make it make sense. They came here with no family, many people, right? So how come they ain't go to no ghetto? Because they had programs to pull them out of a ghetto experience. How else can you explain it? Where people have nothing and they don't go to a ghetto in America. How else can you explain that? Logically, that's the only thing that makes sense. They had some type of government assistance and programs that we are not familiar with. And that's okay. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the American government when they're already in debt to us because of retribution for slavery. Our family works for free. And listen, for people that sit up and say, oh, here we go again. Here's the sophistication. Here's my point of view on it. See, everything I talk about, wait till you hear my point of view on it. Okay, working for free, we couldn't build empires. Every ethnicity, every family and man lives to build an empire for his ethnicity, his family first, and his ethnicity second. So if you working here for free, how could he build an empire like every man of every time, even in the ancient times, there were empires, right? So this is not just some modern perspective. There was always empires. So how could the African in America have a chance to build an empire for his family when he was working as he was supposed to build an empire for his family? How could he be possibly able to do that working for free? This is why you give retribution, because we lack an empire. And everybody else has an empire. The white man has empires everywhere. That's what a man wakes up out of his bed to build. Real great men, kings and queens, build empires. They do not get up to work for someone else. They get up to build empires so that they can build empires for their family and their ethnicity. and offer opportunities to their ethnicity, to their race of people. That's how it's been done. And so that's my plea for why there should be slave retribution, because we lack the empire. We never had one here. And everyone else did. Chinese they have all kinds of empires that you are not aware of. They're not in poverty, I'm telling you that. The Mexicans definitely are not in poverty. They're building empires too. They slowly but surely did it. And we are the only people that do not speak up in this sense because we feel like we always got to work for somebody. We don't talk about just having empires, taking over. There's plenty of white people with their children. Their children don't even work. Their children never worked. While you up here talking about every man and woman must work, some of these white folks around here who own places like Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Kellogg, cereal companies, these are all empires, each one of them. While we look at them to eat from, they are empires of mostly white people. And so you don't meet kids that say, hey, my dad is the owner of McDonald's. But they're out there, though. They're out there. They're obviously out there right here in America. That is an empire. And those children do not, most times, have to work. And that's what it's supposed to be like. And we never got a chance to do that because we never seen life as empires. And I need to do a message on that. Africans never seen life as empires. We only seen life as working for someone else. That's all we have been in. That's the only thing that has been ingrained in our mind is to work for someone else. And many people try to tell us in many ways, but they don't speak in plain English. That's what I do. That's what I've been gifted with as a teacher. You know, I am a teacher. I'm able to speak in plain English, no pun intended. You have not had the mindset to become, to build empires. When you have that mentality to build empires, it puts everything in the proper perspective. You don't have to work till you're 80 years old. This is what we think has to be because we've seen our parents and our grandparents do it, and we think we got to do the same thing. But if we had empire perspective, just like the white people do, they got empire perspective. They don't think nothing wrong with it. They don't think nothing wrong with letting you work at their corporations while they spend time on the beach. They're not esteemed as lazy. They go play golf. They go to the beach. They go to other places. They don't work. Many of them do not work. They take a conference call every 6 months. Keep things pretty, at the corporation, but they're not laboring out here. And that's what I'm trying to show you. How can all of them be working? Come on now. They're not. They have empires that work for them. And when you have an empire, it works for you. That's what I'm trying to show you. And so as long as you sit back, and not realize that the American government system will never favor you or help you with tearing it down every 8 years, never able to progress concerning building an empire for the Africans, then you're just going to be thinking that change is going to come. How's it going to come? You're going to be sitting up thinking change is going to come one day. How? I want to know how. I like to speak in plain English. How's it going to happen? See, that's when you get past all the Jedi mind tricks, when you ask real questions. How is it going to happen? What's the time frame of it happening? How much time do we need for it to happen? You can't do it in 8 years. You can't build a new America and get black people out the ghetto in 8 years of Democratic Party administrations. The Democrats can have it for 8 years. Black people won't be out the ghetto in 8 years. Come on, you can't be serious. How that's going to happen in 8 years? And so guess what's going to happen? The Democrats might try. They might try in 8 years. And guess what happens? The Republicans come right in there and tear down all that progress because they do not care about that. They do not care. And that explains why we still as a community have a ghetto experience wherever we go. because no, the system that could help you, the party that could help you, does not have the White House long enough to help you. That's the 7th hour. They don't have the White House long enough to help you. The Democrats don't have the White House long enough to help you. They're your only hope. The Republicans ain't gonna get you out no ghetto. All them conservative people. See, you got to see how they clicked up. The Republicans clicked up like all conservatives, and a lot of them Christian, white Christians, conservatives that look down on people. They're not going to help you. They feel like you should work for everything. They didn't work for everything. They made you work for everything. They've been making you work for everything. From the very beginning, they've been making you work for everything. They ain't stuck by those principles the whole time. So we can't stick by we can't kind of merge off those principles a little bit too. See, ain't no such thing of a break for the black community. White man take breaks all the time. He take breaks all the time. Hey, the white man take breaks from society and life all the time. Let a black man take a break. He trifling. Something wrong with him. White man take breaks. Oh, he must got money. If a white man take a break, you got a million reasons why he take a break. That's what I'm trying to show you. They holding you to double standards. They holding you to a double standard of living. And all you got to do is realize and change your perspective. And realize this system ain't going to work for you. This is another reason the system has to fall. Because it's back and forth and it's foolishness. If you have one big system, and I don't believe in kings and queens necessarily, but it has whoever has it has to have it longer than 8 years. Ask yourself, what can get done in 8 years? I gotta do videos on this. What can happen in 8 years? And because there's an ferocious opposing party, you know they're coming next. You know the opposing party is most likely gonna come next after 2 terms of a Democrat. That's how it works. And that's the game they play. This is the perspective, better to say, this is the perspective they have. If the Democrats have it for 2 years, we definitely gonna get it after that. Oh, they don't think like that. They don't listen. They all about getting their party back in there. And you need to have a system that has a leadership longer than 8 years so stuff can get done. And the devil can stay out. You can't keep the devil out and you just did something in 8 years, less than 10 years, less than a decade. By the end of the decade, you're out of there. Either way it go. You need to be able to get the right person in power and keep him or her there long enough to keep the devil out and get something done. That's the only way it's gonna happen. Other than that, it ain't gonna that 8-year system stuff, that 8-year party stuff ain't gonna work. You can have the baddest person in the world, the greatest leader in the world. How they gonna get it done in 8 years without God? Without God, how they gonna do that? How they gonna do that in 8 years? So I'm showing you more than one way why this system is not going to work. It's not going to work. Because like I said, if the Democrats have it for 8 years, you know that the Republicans are going to get it after 8 years for sure. That's just the game they play. They go hard and they go hard. If they get 2 terms, if a Democratic president gets 2 terms, they're going to go so hard after those 2 terms that they're going to get it. I don't care how they have to manipulate. They're going to get it after 2 terms of a Democratic president. That's just how it is. So if a Democratic president get it in the next 4 years, after that, the Republicans getting it after that for sure. That's just how it goes. They're going to manipulate any way they can. They do that. Whatever it is. If they got to affect your society, if they got to affect monies, whatever they got to affect, they're going to affect it to get the Republicans back in office after 8 years of Democrats. That's how it works. So I feel that's another reason why the system can't work, because you ain't gonna never get no real progress. And now you need leadership that's able to deal with the violence and the craziness. Somebody just pushed another person on the train here in New York. That killed another person out there, pushing somebody on the train. You need leadership that puts people in jail for 20 years for that. Bottom line, not 5 years. They need 20 years off the streets to make examples for the copycats. Because now you got copycats that's doing that against innocent people. They need to get 20 years without a chance of parole. If you don't give them 20 years without a chance of parole, you're not going to affect the criminal psychology of the crime underworld. You ain't going to affect it. They're going to just think they're going to subconsciously feel no repercussions for doing it. But if you put a law out there that puts people in jail for 20 years without a chance of parole, now that's going to affect the criminal psychological of the crime underworld. You will change the ghettos in the whole American community overnight if you make a law where there's senseless crimes, where people are being killed in senseless crimes, or children are being killed. They get 20 years with no chance of parole. If you make that a new law, you would change everything. If you do not make this a law, nothing will change. How will it change? You gonna sing that song, Waiting on the World to Change? How long you gonna sing that song, man? How long you gonna sing that? Because the only thing that's stopping from chaos from happening and criminal stuff from happening, the only thing stopping it from happening is the law system. If there was no law, people would go and steal everything right now. They would kill you. They would kill you out there. The only thing that's keeping everything at bay and keeping evil at bay is the law system. Don't you understand that? If there was no law system, people would just go and take anything they want and walk away. They would rape people. They would rape men, women, and children. No one would be safe. No men would be safe. They rape you too. All these gay people, I ain't being funny. I'm just being 100. They rape you too. All these bisexual men, they will rape you too. Women too, hey, yeah. These lesbians out here do all kinds of stuff. The only thing that's stopping it, my point is the crime system that will lock them up as soon as they do something. That's the only thing that's keeping evil at bay right now in 2023, July 20th, January 20th, 2023. That's the only thing that's keeping evil at bay is the crime system. So what does that mean then? You'll say, Disciple Marshall Occurrence, what does that mean? It means you got to take the crime system to the next level. Okay? You know it's what's keeping the evil at bay. So you know that's what's doing that. So you got to have a revelation and get an epiphany. Okay, if it's keeping evil at bay, then maybe we need to take it up a notch so it can do more about keeping more evil at bay. And the only way you're going to do that is if there's more severe punishments for crimes that are senseless. When people get killed for killing innocent babies, it's time for 20 years with no chance of parole. If somebody shoots an innocent baby, 20 years, no chance of parole, no questions asked. Simple as that. But what are they giving them though? When you know kids are being killed, what are they giving them? A little girl just been killed about 5 days ago, going to get milk at a corner store, 11 years old, life gone. Gone. How much time do you think they're going to get at that person? They're going to be up for parole in about 8 years. How much you want to put on that? You know I'm right about that. About 8 years, if they're good, they'll get 8 years, which means they only got 8 years for killing a little 11-year-old girl. The bottom line, whether they're on parole or not, they basically got 8 years for that crime. When they come out on the streets and have freedoms like me and you again, they only did the time that they did when they was in prison. You ain't doing no time when you home and you get to have sex and you get to lay up and smoke and drink and you ain't in jail no more. So you basically only did 8 years. And this is why the crime psychological is never affected, because you don't have severe enough punishments in the evil country that you're in denial about.